What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Professor X. Just out taking a little drive this morning. It's raining here, so hopefully the rain won't be too loud on the video. But it's Sunday morning, so I want to talk about a topic that's been out for a while, but I was not on YouTube at the time and able to get my perspective on it. So I thought this morning we would just talk about it for a little bit. Why don't men go to church? That could be titled different ways. Actually, why don't men believe in church, go to church? What happened to the church? But why don't men go to church? When I was thinking about this morning, I was thinking, and again, this is just my perspective. This isn't anything obviously official. It's just my take from some of the men that I know, including myself, some of the reasons why at this time I don't go. But I was thinking, even the men that go, and y'all comment down below if y'all see this as well. Even the men that go, they go because their wife go. Even the men that go to church. Not all of them, don't get me wrong. None of this is not all inclusive. This is not that. This is not that. This is just, I would say, in general, or maybe even for the most part, I feel that even the men who go to church, and I'm talking every Sunday and on every program, everybody kind of pretty much go every once in a while, Easter, Christmas, a baptism, one of the children. But I'm talking like when they have service, you know, Wednesday night or whatever, there's a Bible study, Sunday morning. When I was coming up, and it was cake with church. You got Wednesday night Bible study, something going on Friday night for the young people, Sunday morning, Sunday school, Sunday morning main worship service, and coming back Sunday night. When I was coming up, I mean, it was, and I know some of you that are even my age or older, you remember when church was, y'all was having church almost, I mean, and doing revivals, you're there every night. They don't really do those anymore from what I see like they used to, but they used to run revivals. They was in church every night. But I would say even the men that go faithfully to all of the services that the church may offer only go because the wife goes. And maybe the squeeze, or you know, maybe she wants them to go as a family. He's the head of the house, or it looks better if he's there. Maybe because it makes her happy, keeps her from nagging. I don't know, but I would say that in many cases that is the case. When you're talking to men, at least again in my environment, when you're talking to men, you rarely hear a man just go on and on and on and on about his church or the church. And men generally, when they are proud of something, you can't really get them to stop talking about it. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what it is. If you got a new boat, bought a new house, new pair of shoes, got his kids a new pair of shoes, you got a child go to college, it doesn't matter. If he's a part of something, part of a group, some organization, generally there's going to be some chit chat. And you really don't hear men, when you're in the barbershop, you're out and about, you don't hear men talking about how awesome church really is to them. One of the reasons why I think men don't go is church as a whole does not promote thinking. And they say men think, women feel. So men process through thought, women process through emotion. Now think about the last time you went to church, what the setup is like for the most part. Would you say that it promotes thinking? Or would you say that it taps more into the emotion? Especially if it has a Pentecostal type background. Because they're going to be, the Pentecostals are going to bring in a lot of the music, a lot of the clapping, a lot of the shouting, a lot of the more rejoicing. It's nothing to see somebody get out and just run around the church or dance right where they're at, and the ushers and the ladies, the church nurses gather around. Think about that. The last time you went to church, was the setup conducive more to thinking or more to the emotion? And if men lean more towards thinking, then over time, when your brain is not being stimulated, and let's just say you don't have the pressure of the wife to ask you to go day in and day out, why would men continue to go? Especially in the Christian faith. If you want to see an organization that is full of men, whether you agree with their delivery or knowledge or theology or not, but when you look at organizations as far as the black community, when you look at something like the Nation of Islam, they're big on information. So, and that's why they're able to get into the prisons, the jails, on the street, and you're taking these guys that, as far as society was concerned, they would be considered more on the lower end, maybe no education, made a bunch of mistakes. And you take a guy like that, a brother like that, and you pump into him knowledge that he's never paid attention to before. You're talking about, you could take a brother that was failing in science in middle school and high school, then as an adult make some mistakes, start getting knowledge, and all of a sudden science can become one of his better subjects because they was able to get into the mind and make this brother one of the most educated people out there walking on the street. That's what they're good at. They can do it with science, math, history. They teach you your own history, and then you, as a man, you become proud. Things you never know. Nobody told me this. I didn't know this. I didn't know we had leaders that did this. I didn't know our civilizations did this. I didn't know. And when you become proud, you speak on it. When you become proud, you live it. When you become proud, you defend it. So I think to me, that's one of the number one reasons why men are choosing not to deal necessarily with the church, because it doesn't promote thinking. And again, it's not going to apply to every church. A lot of the pastors, a lot of the preachers that are preaching, they're not really delivering content that allows you to think. And since it's Sunday, we'll talk about Jesus for just a second. When you look at the style of teaching that Jesus did, It was all to get you to think. If you pay attention to how Jesus spoke, how he taught, he wouldn't just come out and tell you this is what it is. That's not what Jesus would do. He would tell a story that if you had to pay attention to it and then relate it to what he was saying in a spirit dimension. But he would tell you an earthly story, and then you had to relate it to something else. Like, give an example. Jesus said a man had 2 sons. He told them both, go work in my field. And one of the sons said, I will do it, but he never did it. And the other son said, I'm not gonna do it, but eventually he went and did it. And Jesus asked the question, which son would you say did the will of his father? See? He didn't just come out and say, do the Father's will, whether you want to or not. Eventually just do the will. He told a story that was very practical, would make you think. Then he asked the question, which one do you think did the Father's will? And when you go to most churches, they're not promoting thought. It's more like, this is what I have for today. You get the information. There's rarely a time in most churches now that you even get to ask questions. That's normally for Bible study, if people still do that even in Bible study. So, and then let's be clear, the average person that just goes to church don't really have a good understanding of the Bible anyway. So if nobody has been able to ask questions, you going home, sad to say, just as ignorant as you were when you got there. Because if you're not able to ask questions, then you're really not able to learn. And the people around you are not able to learn. That's just the bottom line. I mean, we learned that from elementary school. So the ability to think. And then too, I think men in general are very practical. Men are hands-on. And the church tends to lean towards the future versus the right now. And I think that's a problem for men. That's a problem for men. We want to be able to see it working and working right now. And the truth of the matter is, that's the way it should be anyway. The kingdom of God was not set up just for when we die, all of a sudden we get these blessings. It wasn't. That's what a lot of the churches has made it, but it was never set up for just the afterlife. It was set up so that we knew how to deal in this life. How can I be the best father in this life? And the Bible speaks on that. How can I be the best husband in this life? And the Bible speaks on that. How can I be the best wife? How can I be the best worker? How can I have wisdom? How can I obtain respect? Yes, how can I get ahead in life? What should my priorities be? The Bible speaks on all of these things. But again, in most Christian churches, it's gonna just say get in and then stay in and kind of wait until you die, and then all of these things that you did without will now come to you, and you will be happy for eternity. And men we're too hands-on for that. We're too practical for that. We need something that works right now. And again, when you look at other organizations that are quote-unquote non-Christian, we see that how they do it comes into play, that it's working. And then I think too, as a whole, faith has gone down. Even before my time, into the time of my grandparents, maybe great-grandparents, when the struggle was so high, faith was high. Because, man, we've seen, even during times of slavery, where they would gather around and sing and call on God, and because there's no answer. You're looking for an answer. And if there's something out there that can help deliver us, if there's something out there that can get us through this pain, get us through this bondage, then please, would you help? Would you assist? Would you come? Would you rescue us? And in the black people especially, we developed a very spiritual sense towards God that trickled down to our great-grandparents, our grandparents, where there's a lot of faith being exercised on a day-to-day basis. I mean, back in the day, well before my time, a lot of businesses was closed on Sunday just to really give people the opportunity to go to church. It don't matter how many, hours or how long or how hard a lot of the men had to work, maybe in the field, they was in the farming or construction. On Sunday, they knew they was going to go to church. To me, that's wrapped up in their faith. I believe in God. I believe that God has brought me through, so I'm going to church. And I'm going to hear more about what he's able to do, and I'm going to believe it. And I'm going to come back, put it into my life, and then we don't have that now. Faith is, I guess, because we have seen so much. And two, we have seen so much nonsense in the church. We have seen so much nonsense in the church. Things that we may not say out loud, but we know it ain't right as far as if we're going to say we believe in God. We already know. We've seen pastors mishandle, mismanage money, and yet continue to ask for money. Whereas a man, we're thinking, as a man who are head of our house, we're thinking, my boy, what'd you do with the first $1,000 that we gave? Because all we see is you're getting a new car every 2 years, and now you're asking for more money for a building fund. Well, see, to a man, that's going to have an impact. Man, well, a woman may see it, but it's really going to have more of an impact on a man. Again, being he said that these are things that he's going to be thinking about. So we've seen a lot of the nonsense. So, to be honest, especially the bigger churches, a lot of the men that go, they go for fellowship. That's what I would say. They go for fellowship and look at, not in a perverted way, but just to glance at the pretty women that come in. I would say that would be fellowship and eye candy if men are being serious. I would say as a great nucleus of men, not every man. There are some that's dedicated, die hard. They're there, they're focused, they're in it. But I would say, 3 out of 5, if not 4 out of 5, when they're there, especially in my age group or younger, you go up into the 60s and the 70s, that's a different thing. But you 50 and younger, or mid-50s and younger, you're pretty much there for the fellowship, especially if you go to a bigger church. You're there to talk to your friends that you haven't seen in a week. You're there to catch up, But it's not really a spiritual motivating situation. So anyway, y'all put something in the comments. What do y'all think it is? Number one thing that I really want to get it out though is I think that it just reduces the thought process in a man. So that even unintentionally, it would create a more feminine environment, even if that's not the intention. That's what it would do by default. It would create a more feminine environment once you take the thought process out of it. And if a man had a choice, he's not necessarily going to sign up for that every week. And if he go, he probably go out of tradition or diligence to his spouse. So y'all put in the comments what y'all think it is, how far off you feel I am. Like I said, I saw this discussion about a year or two ago, and I didn't have a little platform to speak on it, but now that I do, I just want to throw that in the air. It's Sunday when I'm making this video, so y'all enjoy y'all weekend, what's left of it. We'll holler at you.